Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the Crafty Poppet Crochet podcast. My name is Asa Marie and this is my crafty podcast all about crochet and a few other crafts sometimes, but mostly always about crochet. Well, as I said, my name is Asa Marie. I can be found online at Facebook as The Crafty Poppet and on Instagram as The Crafty Poppet, and there is a Ravelry group under the name of the Crafty Poppet Crochet Podcast. Each word has a capital and that's all you have to type. I am coming to you from Lismore in New South Wales, Australia, and this is episode 11. Did I say that? I can't remember. It has been about 4 weeks since I last podcast, which is better than I normally do. I just trailed off on a tangent there. I sort of wandered off. Is it podcast or podcasted? I don't know. I feel like both could be acceptable. Thoughts below. I've got so much to tell you and I am so excited. I'm finally here doing a podcast. I was going to be doing it last week and then I got sick because spring came early in this part of Australia. It normally doesn't hit until about the middle of September, when the equinox happens on the 21st, but this month it came early and I know it was spring. I know it was the spring that did it because the winds came and my mandarin trees, which I am growing from seed, started sprouting. Is that the phrase? Sprouting new growth, and yeah, that's been going on for about the last few weeks. Anyhow, first of all, I would like to say a big welcome to new subscribers, and thank you very much to all of my existing subscribers that have continued with me. It's so gratefully appreciated. It's really amazing. So thank you very much for keeping on coming back and watching my podcast. Today on the podcast, I have for you some notes over here so that I can keep on track. And I have. Oh, I thought I'd do a little bit of a recap because I noticed that sometimes there can be so much time in between my podcasts that I begin and end whole crochet projects and you never even see them in works in progress. So I thought it'd be a good idea to recap the last episode in regards to what I show you, and then that way it may jog memories or sort of just keep you in the loop a little bit more. So I thought that would be a good idea to do. Then I have works in progress. I also have a bit of a and I have 2 finished objects. I then have shout outs, of which I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have an amazing amount of stashquisitions. And oh yes, I'm going to be talking about the North Coast National a little bit, which is my regional fair, and Christmas makes. I'm actually thinking about doing some separate videos for those things. Actually, that segues really nicely into separate videos because I did want to apologise for the promise of vlogs, and I did 2 and subsequently did no more. Oh, the daily mini vlogs thing was not for me, and it just took it right out of me and I could not continue. It was not for me. I think if I ever do something vloggy again like that where you have to film a bit every day, I think that I'll film a bit every day and sort of pop it all together in one bigger block and do like weekly blocks. So I may or may not do that for Vlogtober. We will see. I like the idea of doing vlogs, but it was a lot to keep up with, and yeah, I think it was just maybe just some teething issues, so I'll just try a different tack in Vlogtober maybe. I also don't want to sort of put pressure on myself and lock myself into things and then just not deliver and disappoint people. So I'm really sorry if you're looking forward to more Vlogust videos. I do apologise. But I do have lots and lots to share with you today, so hopefully that will make up for the lack of vlogs. First of all, I think that what I should do is the recap, as I mentioned. If you recall, I did show in episode 10 some hats that I made on commission. One of them was my own design, and another one was, and that was like in lots of, it was in a really multicoloured yarn. And then I made the Early Up North hat, and that was by Martin Up North. And I think that's his Instagram handle as well, except I think that it's Martin Up North with each word separated by underscores. I also showed my finished Downton Abbey hat, which I made for my mother-in-law, which she has been wearing this winter while she has been on tour with her work. So that's been fantastic. I'm so glad that she has been wearing it and liking it. That's awesome. I showed my Megan's hat, and I showed my knitting, which was a garter stitch scarf. I also showed you my Emergence of Spring wrap, which was by Rosina from the Zines and Roger podcast. And I also showed you a bag that I'm making out of grey t-shirt yarn for my little sister. So, to go over some of those, obviously I've got no more hats to show you because they were all finished objects. Although I do have the Megan's hat to report back on with some progress. And the progress is... It did not work out. Oh, this is the womp womp. I don't like it. I don't like the colours coming out fine. It's really accurate actually as to what I can see in comparison. The colour is really accurate. An accurate representation of what I can see right in front of me. And the textural stitches are actually coming out a lot more clearly than they are right in front of me. So you're actually getting a better shot. Maybe it's my eyes. Maybe it's because I don't have glasses on. I don't see in HD. So anyway, I don't like it because, oh, and that's the top. I like the pattern. I don't like this yarn for this pattern. Will I dare to put it on? Oh, jeez. And that's why I don't like it. It's fine off. It looks like a tea cozy on. Oh, tea cozy better have not mucked things up. Yeah, so it's just the wrong yarn choice. It's too busy. I think I find it too busy because it's got textural stitches. I just think a plain colour, maybe in something like this colour, which is actually very close to the one that is in the picture that the designer made it in. I think that would look beautiful. Or white. I think that would look really nice in just white. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this yarn. It pulls out easily enough, but I thought I would just leave that for a bit. I don't need a hat. I just made it on a whim. I really don't need it. So I'm not too fussed about what happens with that. I'll just frog it and reclaim the yarn. So I guess I can put that back over here. What else can I touch back on? Oh, excuse me, something on my eye. I can report back on my knitting. So we are sort of segueing into works in progress, carried over from episode 10. Now, what project bag is that in? Oh, this one. This is actually a little lunch bag that I bought from the op shop, and if I rustle it you can hear the foil lining, but it's really great as a project bag because it's got an extendable lining. So this is my garter stitch scarf, and I have done a bunch more and I'm really happy with it. I actually changed out my needles. I think I was complaining about needles in episode 10, and I changed out needles to 40 centimeter 6.5 millimeter circular needles. 6.5 millimeters. The yarn is Payton's discontinued brand. I think it's Cosmos. I'm pretty sure it's Cosmos. And I love it. It's really cute. It's got sparkly bits in it. Yeah, nice and neutral as well, so it will go with everything. And the needles being switched out made it so much faster. I was actually able to build up a little bit of rhythm. I found the wooden needles really heavy and clunky, and like there was a whole arm movement happening, and I know that's supposed to be better for just movement in general than a small movement. Yes, I think you're prone to getting more RSI, and I think I found that out after I watched the interview that Faye from the Crochet Circle podcast put out when she interviewed a lady who's an occupational therapist, and she gave a bunch of tips for sitting comfortably and in a really healthy way. And she, I'm saying a lot, I apologise. Anyway, she really promoted moving around, you know, at least sort of every, I think maybe, was it 25 minutes? Was it 45 minutes? Something like that. Probably either is good or both even. And the bigger movements are better, apparently, than smaller movements. However, I was so not used to big movements that I found it really awkward. And I just didn't do it. And I didn't want that to happen. So I thought, well, look, I sort of went my own way. When I first learned how to crochet, I developed my way of crocheting so that I would not get RSI, because I looked at all of the textbooks, I looked at how people were crocheting on YouTube, and I was like, no, I don't like any of those ways. I'm just going to have to figure it out for myself. And it was just in the way that I tension the yarn. I actually work quite closely. I just do it like that, and I hold it there, and I hold it there. And I pretty much have carried that over, so I knit continental as well, which is easy. Yeah, so I'm enjoying that. It's quite therapeutic actually. And I think I seem to be almost as fast at doing this as crochet. For a sustainable pace. I could probably crochet a bunch faster if I wanted to, but it's not sustainable, so anyway, that's that one. Ooh, just get the ball of yarn. And how I'm choosing my projects for knitting is from this book that I bought when I wanted to learn how to knit. It is Add One Stitch Knitting by Alina Schneider, and it's Add One Stitch Knitting, build up your skills stitch by stitch in 15 stylish projects. And the first project is, there's lots of getting started stuff, and the knit stitch, the slip knot, casting on. It also tells you about magic loop. It tells you about decreasing, joining with mattress stitch, and then it goes into the lessons. And that's the first one there, the garter stitch scarf. And theirs is done on much bigger needles, 9mm needles, so it's much chunkier. But I just don't need something that chunky in Australia. And so that's really, really nice. And then my next one will be a stocking stitch cushion cover. Okay, so next in works in progress, I suppose, because I don't have anything more to report back on from things I showed you in episode 10. The bag I'm doing for my sister I have not worked on. I think I'm going to rip it back and do something much smaller that I can actually see that the end of the project is in sight. Because I tend to pile too much on myself. I think that that's a sensible thing. So I'm going to do something similar design but just smaller. And what else? No, I can't show you anything else because there's nothing else to report on apart from my emergence of Spring Shawl, which is finished. So we'll just go straight into finished objects. Yay! And this is living in my Liberty fabric wash bag that I bought from the op shop for $1. Love that. So this is finished. It's not blocked. The ends are not tucked in, but it is complete. It's so pretty. This is going to stretch so much, you guys. So much. It's going to be really nice. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I will use it throughout summer when I go inside and the aircon is on. It will be perfect. It will be absolutely perfect. And it's long, so I will just be able to tie it in a knot around my back strap so that I have it with me, and then it's not like taking up extra room in my bag. I hate that. So I really love it. It's got the sort of slightly frilly edges on, which add a very nice touch to it. I'm super happy with that, and I think that they look like little trees in this colour. So I feel like this might be like my forest wrap. I like that. I think this is my forest wrap. And this yarn is Heirloom Baby 4-ply. This colour is discontinued, but the yarn is not, so you can still grab that if you want it. I will just fold this back up and set it down. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object is not crochet. It is not knit. It's not cross stitch, and it's not embroidery. But it is machine sewn. Yay! I can't believe I made a tote bag. It's just a little tote bag, and I do have a work in progress in here as well, and it works perfectly for that. It's a really great size. This is the Mia bag by Indigo Bird Sewing Patterns on Etsy. And I'm really happy with, you can't really see too much because of my choice in fabric. But you can see here I'm really happy with my nice straight stitches. And on the handles, really, really happy with how that turned out. And the pocket worked out really great. You just chuck it up into the seam. It's just a little one. You can pop a few notions in there if you wanted to. If you just wanted to use it for a handbag, you can pop your car keys in there. And I suppose the longer you cut the fabric, the deeper it will sit. I've got through all of the things that I'm making, and I'm going to be able to... Shall I do some shout outs now? I think what I might do is I'll do some shout outs now, And if you're not interested in Stashquisitions, then you don't have to watch the rest of the podcast of the episode after that. So the shout outs that I have for you all are Crochet Chris, who I did give a shout out to in episode 10, but I was really unsure which way around her channel title went, whether it was Crochet Chris or Chris's Crochet. So I just wanted to be doubly sure and give her an extra shout out here. And indeed, her channel name is Crochet Chris, and Chris is spelled Cryss. She is a fabulous lady who owns a yarn shop with her sister in the States, and Chris has always had her channel be about her endeavours towards building her skills in crochet and her journey in becoming a crochet designer. So she's really fabulous to watch. I thoroughly recommend her. Next, I have discovered Katie from the Country Crochet podcast. She is such a sweet lady and I've really enjoyed watching her. She's just had one episode out so far, but I did see this morning that there was another episode from her, but I think it might have been out for a little bit and I just missed it somehow. I have also discovered Sondra from Sondra's Crochet Corner. So I've been really enjoying her. I think she just has 3 episodes out, and yeah, I really recommend her. I think she's fabulous as well. I have also discovered Becca from Reenie and Bert. Now, I was actually just wondering about Becca from Reenie and Bert because I saw her for a while back, and then there was a big gap between her last podcast, and I thought, oh, that's a shame she's not doing it anymore. And then I was just randomly wondering about her one day. I was like, oh, I really hope she's come back. And I clicked on her channel, and sure enough, there's another podcast, and it was only like 1 week old, so I couldn't believe the chances of that. And she has announced in her most recent episode that she's going to do a crochet along for a denim jacket, and the back, it gets cut out and crocheted instead. So I think that's going to be pretty fabulous. So I can't wait to get started with that. And then last but certainly not least, I wanted to say a massive thank you to the wonderful Leah from Leah's Crochet and Chit Chat for giving me an awesome shout out. She said that I was really lovely, so that was very wonderful to hear. So thank you very much, Leah. I think you're very lovely as well. Thank you so much for your shout out. I always enjoy watching your podcasts, and I hope to hear from you again soon. All right, well, I think that just about wraps up the shout outs. On to the next thing. Okay, so as you can see, I have had yet another change of clothes, and that is because it is the next day. Last night I was editing this podcast episode and found that it was ginormously long. So I think the best thing for me to do is to split the podcast into 2 sections. The first section will be whips and finished objects and shout outs, and the second half will be all about Stashquisitions, and I hold up everything and I get right into the details of all of the books as well. So do stay tuned if you want to see that, and make sure to look in your notifications for the Crafty Poppet Crochet Podcast, episode 11, part 2, for the Stashquisitions section. That will be in a whole extra part, so you'll have to find that. But for now, this part of the podcast is finishing, and I would just like to say an amazingly huge thank you to everybody who has clicked that subscribe button. It means ever such a lot. Thank you all so much for following me and for watching me every time I put a podcast episode out there. It really means a whole bunch. It really does. So thank you very much. If you have liked it and you haven't clicked the like button, please do that, because that really helps get my podcast out there for more people to find. And also don't forget to click subscribe if you haven't already, and the bell for notifications. Well, thank you so much again, everybody, and until next time, stay crafty.